Hello team and welcome back to One on One, the most in-depth football show on YouTube. With various media sources claiming that Celtic have in fact secured Eddie Howe as their next permanent manager, I thought now was the perfect time to address the following questions. What kind of manager is he? What sort of style would he deploy? And why hasn't it been officially announced yet? Let's dive in. Eddie's dream. First, let's delve into Howe's managerial past to see what may lie in Celtic's future. The former midfielder took up the reins at Bournemouth in 2009 at the tender age of 31. Miraculously, he steered the club away from relegation in his first campaign, even overcoming a 17-point deduction. Hence Bournemouth's chant of "Eddie had a dream" from -17. The subsequent campaign, Howe secured promotion to League One, all the more impressive given that the club was serving a transfer embargo. In short, in the space of 2 years, he dramatically reversed the club's fortunes without spending a penny. An early nod to his now widely praised man management and coaching skills. After being seduced by the bright lights of then Championship side Burnley, Howe left Bournemouth in 2011. However, after mixed results at Turf Moor, he returned to Dean Court a year later, leading the Cherries to the Championship as runners-up. In the 2013-14 season, his side finished 10th in the Championship. Impressive given there was no noteworthy additions to the first team squad. In fact, Bournemouth only spent around £8 million on transfer fees in 2 championship seasons, although heavily dependent on Russian owner Maxim Demin to foot a pretty substantial wage bill. In 2014-15, with Premier League promotion all but secured, Howe was awarded Manager of the Decade at the Football League Awards. Didn't win Best International Content Creator 2 years in a row though, did he? So, suck it. In little over 6 years, the Englishman had secured 3 promotions, taking the club from sporting and financial ruin to the promised lands of Premier League football. As chairman Jeff Mostyn said following their ascent, 6 years ago we were on the abyss. We were 10 minutes away from the conference and the chances are we would never have gone out of the conference with the resources we had available to us at that stage. The big takeaway from this period is that Eddie Howe has solid pedigree when it comes to rebuilding a club from the ground up. And with Celtic in the midst of an identity crisis owing to a severe lack of leadership, this isn't a skill set that should be underestimated. Howe's philosophy. Howe has a reputation as an attack-minded coach whose sides play attractive, daring football at the cost of defensive solidity. But is this a fair summation? Well, the way his team secured promotion in the 2014-15 season definitely lends itself to this narrative. That season in the Championship, the Cherries went hard on attack, scoring a staggering 2.1 goals per game, while shipping a pretty porous 0.98 in return. But, contrary to popular belief, Howe's Bournemouth did employ a much more workmanlike approach after securing promotion. Not only did they concede the 5th fewest shots per 90 in their maiden Premier League campaign, they also made the 5th most tackles. A lot of it was down to small conservative tweaks, something Howe is rarely given credit for. For example, the industrious Harry Arter was employed as an advanced midfielder, tasked with disrupting the opposition's build-up and turning over play in the final third. South African box-to-box midfielder Andrew Sermon also evolved into more of a holding player, putting up 2.9 interceptions per 90, ranking him 15th in the Premier League for that metric. These were subtle shifts that made a big impact. Admittedly, a lot of this good work undone by conceding 20 set-piece and penalty goals, the joint worst record in the division. Still, they avoided the drop in pretty convincing fashion by completely overhauling their approach, showing a bit more tactical versatility in this period than people often give them credit for. In the next 2 seasons, Howe unleashed the attack, with Bournemouth ranking as high as 8th for shots per 90 in 2017-18. This saw the Cherries' defence become extremely porous. By the end of 17-18, only 3 sides conceded more than their 61 goals. Instead of reverting back to a more conservative approach, Howe doubled down on his talented forward line. Basically, Bournemouth's attacking endeavours were doing enough to mask their defensive deficiencies in this period. Now, whether you class this as naive or giving it a go is pretty much down to your own sensibilities. Either way, in 2019-20, this system that was geared towards maximising their attacking output came unstuck. Bournemouth were ravaged by injury and didn't have a robust enough plan B. This might sound like a convenient get-out clause for Howe, but only 3 players that campaign put up more than 30 starts. A miserable record fitness-wise. There was also a number of high-profile misses in the transfer market, especially from an attacking sense. For that, Howe and Bournemouth's recruitment department have to take responsibility. Ultimately, Howe had taken a relatively small club with an average attendance of 10,500 to 9th place in the most competitive league in the world. Not to mention that by the time they succumbed to the drop, he'd given 25 years of his life in some way, shape or form to his boyhood club. Clearly, it was the right time for a new challenge. The most pressing question now is, can Howe turn battling for Premier League survival into battling for the Scottish Premier League title at the first time of asking? So, what's the hold-up? Some reports have suggested that Howe is yet to make a final decision on where his future lies. But now it appears like he's waiting to finalise his backroom staff before making any public announcements. This is an issue that has of course been made more complicated by Bournemouth's playoff status. It's also been said that Howe is extremely keen to bring Richard Hughes with him to Glasgow, who currently serves as Bournemouth's technical director. The murmurs are that the Englishman wants to install him as the club's first ever sporting director. This in itself is problematic. A sporting director or a director of football is supposed to be the vanguard of the long-term sporting project / vision at any given club. They're meant to be the person that hires and fires the manager, not arrives with them as part of their backroom staff. Not to mention, Celtic had previously sounded out Fergal Harkin from Manchester City to take up what appears to be a similar role. This has created a confusing side narrative about Celtic's restructure at boardroom level that needs addressing quickly. Conclusion. Essentially, Howe has shown himself as a man not just capable of reshaping club culture, but redefining it. A very necessary quality for the next Celtic manager. Quite clearly, his default setting is attack, but we've shown that he's also being pragmatic in his past when looking to ascertain results from superior opposition. These are sensibilities that should endear him to the Celtic faithful, who want the domestic dominance of the Rodgers era, but the European pluckiness of the Strachan era. Howe's track record of transforming disregarded lower league players into competent Premier League performers will also no doubt be put to good use. This coming season will be as much about maximising underperforming assets like Ajeti, Barkas, Taylor, Johnson, Marian Shved, remember him, as it will be spending £20 to £25 million on brand spanking new players. That is it for this week's one-on-one. Hopefully you can confidently answer the question, is Eddie Howe the right man for Celtic, after watching this video? What would you like to see me do next time? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to Euro Football Daily with notifications on. Like this video as it really does bloody help. And until then, I'll catch you next time. Bye!